The youngest?
The youngest, there you go. I like how you phrase that. To see Pat's evolution, I guess you could say, into as close as today's game as you could have, how have you seen kind of the game, take influence from her, being that you played for her so recently?
Yeah, it's hard when I think of Pat. I always think of like defensive rebounding, and think of any championship series, right? Like when we were just watching the Aces win. What was Becky harping on first and foremost? She was like, well, it starts with their defense. Every single team is like, and I'm a little biased because I always talk about defense as an analyst, but when you talk about just defense, rebounding, the grit, the toughness, the being out-toughing your opponent and outworking your opponent, that to me, every coach, even when I cover different sports, every coach ends up talking about having grit, having toughness, and when I think of those things, I think of Pat, and so I just see threads of her and her beliefs and what she hung her hat on. I see threads of it throughout sports, every single day, every team that I cover, every sport that I've covered, now covering basketball, it's always there.
What does it mean to you to be one of the, in the grand scheme of things, last players to play for her?
It means, it's bittersweet a little bit because I think I would have loved to see many more players play for her, right? So it's bittersweet in that sense because you never really want there to be a last. But to me, it's more special just to be one of the players that got to play, under Pat and know her and be cared for by her and loved by her. So to me, I hang my hat more on that than being, the last, because being the last makes me a little more sad. But being one of just gives me so much joy. It's such a blessing. And honestly, just being here with everyone it's incredible.
There's kind of someone from every era of Pat's life. Obviously, you said you're the youngest, but to be part of this panel and part of more of like an intimate conversation than maybe normally a formal interview would be. Just what are you looking forward to about that, and what does it mean to be involved?
Well, one of the main things is how close all of us are. So, just in this room, and it's not production's fault. I think this is normal, but they have separate rooms for all of us. So it's like, Candace, who's room for you? Andrea, who's room for you? Nikki, who's room for you? And we're like, we're all going to Candace's room. So I think just how tight-knit we are and how close we are, that to me is really special. Like, it's incredible to be in this group. Like, you look, to me, when I look left and right, I'm like, what am I doing here? But I think the next step past that is it's even more incredible to really know these women and consider them friends. Like, that is something I never take for granted. I never take it lightly. But being here and just having the opportunity to speak on Pat and hopefully share so many things about Pat that make her so special, that means a lot to me.
Is there a specific story you're most excited to tell on the panel that you can maybe give a sneak preview to?
Yeah, so one that I'll tell, I'm trying to think of what I should leave out, but one that I'll tell, my first time talking to Pat, I was at my sister's dance class. I remember being in an empty dance studio and it was over the phone. My high school coach told me to call Pat. I was in 9th grade and I was so nervous, and I'm a crier, so I might cry tonight, who knows. But I was so nervous, and so I was in tears. I was that nervous that I had tears in my eyes talking to her. And what she did as soon as she answered the phone and talked to me to just calm me down immediately is something that I talk about it all the time, but I'll share that story tonight, among others. But that one sticks out to me because it was my first conversation with her. And yeah, what she did was it was really cool.
You just touched on the recruiting process, but what'd she do to make you feel like Tennessee was the right school for you?
Yeah, I'll probably tell this story too. I actually didn't think Pat was going to offer me a scholarship. The game that she came to watch me play, I think I had 8 points. My high school coach is she barely shot the ball. I was so nervous. And I think the thing about Pat is when she knows, she knows. So she was just so convincing that I had something that she wanted and something that she needed. And I think anyone would say that, Pat could be stubborn, put her foot down. And, in the recruiting process, to me, there was just no doubt that Tennessee was where I needed to be because Pat believed it was where I needed to be. It was also my dream school. But yeah, that just Pat saying, no, this is where we want you to be. We want you here. I was sold.
Do you kind of get different, sides of Pat being so close to Nikki and Candace and hearing their experiences with her?
Yeah, sometimes I think because, my freshman year, she was head coach emeritus. And so I didn't have the experience of on the court or her ice blue eyes staring at me from across the sidelines, or they're just things that they experienced playing under her, like directly. You know, and stories, you know, even the stories they've had being close to her after they left Tennessee, and those relationships and, you know, those experiences with her. So I could just sit and listen to them talk for hours. Like, I guarantee you in this panel, I will probably be listening, just like the audience, to everything that the women next to me are saying, because I know they've got stories for days.
Thank you.